The next question is a relatively simpler question. It's a question on ethics and the aspects that it involves. There is one part on operating segments IFRS 8. Okay. Now, using Exhibit 1, discuss the ethical issues caused by the current business situation. 2 professional marks. The finance director of Dario is not a permanent employee but is paid on a consultancy basis. He is currently on a 6-month contract. The chief executive is a personal friend of the FD and she recommended him to the board of Dario Company. The FD and the CEO are both ACCA members. Dario Company currently has a cash flow problem and the CEO has asked the finance director if he is prepared to reduce his current fee by 50%. The finance director's contract is due for renewal in the next month. The CEO has currently spoken to the finance director and stated that his contract is more likely to be renewed if he is prepared to take a fee reduction. She has also said that if he needs support, then as a friend she will help him. यार ये तो इमोशनल ड्रामा शुरू हो गया. The FD is upset by the fee request as no other director has taken a cut in their salary. He is currently undertaking a going concern review of Dario Company but has decided not to complete his report until he has considered his position with Dario Company. The finance director's findings will also form part of a submission to the government for funding and will be shared with external auditors. He knows that the current cash flow position would indicate that the company is not a going concern and that if he submitted his report, there would be no government funding. There is also the possibility that the financial statements would receive a qualified audit report. He is considering overstating future potential returns. In addition, many of the accounting staff are remote employees, meaning that they are now working at home rather than in office. FD is worried about the possibility of data theft. Unfortunately, he does not have the skills, nor does Dario Company have the capacity to undertake a widespread investigation into the issue. Given the current request to reduce his fee and the cash flow situation, he also does not have the incentive to deal with the potential data theft or inform the board to enable them to address any potential problem. However, he has asked the information technology department to add productivity monitoring software to all remote employees' computers without their permission or knowledge, and any employee who spends time on non-business websites will be immediately disciplined. उसको डांट पड़ेगी. Discipline, maybe he might be fired also. Now tell me, what are the ethical issues that you encounter here? Let's start one by one. Manav, can you tell me one problem that you can see here?
Mm, self-interest.
Explain.
So like FD and CEO are both are related to each other. So FD may find some self-interest like while evaluating that cash flow things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Knowing each other doesn't it mean there's familiarity?
Familiarity threat, exactly. I wasn't getting.
Familiarity threat is the
Yeah.
more appropriate one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Self-interest comes in when his payment or salary is due for his work. So he is putting his own interest above by not submitting the report for the going concern thing.
Okay. That's a fair point.
Could there be something related to his qualification, questioning his professional competence, like as he has no idea about the data things?
See the data, putting that tracking software, it's not particularly unethical, but it is a bad business practice. Na? You are not making adequate disclosures. You are not telling them that this is what we are doing, and you are canceling, sorry, and you are, putting like a tracker on them. That's unfair. That's incorrect. Okay.
No, I'm not speaking about that.
but so it is mentioned
So
that he
before it,
doesn't have that professional skills and all.
That is lack of professional competence.
Yeah.
It's a fair point.
Intimidation threat.
Where exactly?
The CEO is asked to prepare to take a fee reduction, and on that basis, the renewal will be taken.
Yes, that would come under intimidation. So he will be tempted to record the transaction in, or to do certain adjustments, or be say yes to something when in fact he's not ready for it, or when in fact it is incorrect, and in order to save his contract and get it renewed, he might indulge in this. So that's a fair point. What else?
Advocacy threat.
Elaborate, please.
The CEO, the FD is preparing a submission report to government for which he is thinking to manipulate the results to get the funding.
Okay. Okay.
Sir, objectivity and then integrity.
Objectivity and integrity. Elaborate, please.
Sir, objectivity because like he's friend with the CEO, so the
Hmm?
objectivity will be missing out there. And then like fees is also coming into picture. And then integrity part is he's planning to overstate the potential returns on investment.
Okay. Fair.
Going concern, sir. It's written
Going.
very clear.
Elaborate. Elaborate.
So because the company is not able to, because they're reducing the salary of FD for about almost like 50%. So I think they may have like some going concern and cash flow problems in the company.
Okay. Okay.
And they are waiting for government funding also by checking by checking they have going concern or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is a major one.
Okay.
So we can also add in objectivity that he is not going to fulfill the going concern test fully because it includes the part of his salary that they will not be paying his salary, and also it will affect the cash flow problem of the company, that they will not receive a loan or external support from the government or the external investments.
Okay. So would you want to classify that under advocacy, या कहाँ पे डालेंगे उसको? Your point is fair, but where would you classify that? Because see, you will definitely get marks for explanation, but ACCA wants you to identify the threat to the ethical principle. है ना? So unless you do that, you will not get full marks in the ethics wala question. It's the key to getting marks in SBR is, sorry, in the ethics question is to write the ethical principle that is in danger, possibly talk about the threat, self interest है, self review है, क्या है, and then describe the matter. ठीक है? Provide a resolution only if the question asks you for a resolution, not otherwise. Now here, the first area of concern for the finance director is that of maintaining independence in dealings, as he is a close personal friend. Personal equation with the CEO can bring about self-interest and familiarity threat. So Manav, when you identified self-interest, it was correct. Being nice to him means he is nice to me, and it's that kind of a give and take relationship. The
Yes, sir.
CEO has asked the FD to reduce fees and also indicated that renewal of contract is subject to reduction of fees. Again, creates intimidation threat, as you correctly pointed out. Talk about the threat, talk about the ethical principle involved. The pressure has resulted in FD deliberately delaying the going concern report. The FD does not wish to release the report until he has finalized his position vis-a-vis the company. This deliberate delay of report will cause information being circulated late and that it is likely to impact the company. It might be too late to take any preventive remedial measures to save the company, and it could this is see यहाँ पे he knows the situation, he can release the report, but he's like जब तक you don't finalize the position on my contract I will not release. If this report is released late, it will have an impact on the company, and this is lack of professional behavior. In the sense कि यार you are thinking about your personal situation and you're using your personal feelings. The very fact that your contract will not get renewed, you are using that in order to uh मतलब it's like taking a revenge of sorts, which is a lack of professional behavior. ठीक है? And of course, the offer of support as a friend will compromise objectivity. The moment friend and relation and all of that comes into picture, it's over. See, because in related party transactions or wherever a related party is involved, the presumption is that the transaction has not happened at a fair price. ठीक है? The FD has to make a submission to the government for funding. Now, if such a submission highlights the fact that the entity is not a going concern, the entity will not get the funding. So his position as the FD is again compromised. If he does not overstate the figures, there will be no funding and future survival of the business, and naturally his fees will be in question. So there is self-interest threat involved along with advocacy. कि यार if I don't help the business get funding, ये तो बन पड़ेगा ही, मेरा भी fees नहीं मिलेगा. So naturally, I'm a little worried about getting that in place. There is challenge of data theft, but FD does not have the necessary skills to deal with the challenge, and the company also does not have adequate resources. So due to lack of professional competence, data theft might go undetected and naturally future impact. Since the FD does not have any incentive left to report the issue, he has decided to stay silent, and that brings his personal integrity into question. Just because I'm not getting my contract renewed does not mean that I will not do a good job with what has been given to me. His decision to add productivity monitoring software without informing employees might not be a direct ethical issue, but still shows lack of professional behavior. You are, see, and in many countries now, this might be a criminal offense. Huh? This kind of tracking or putting like a tab on employees or anyone for that matter without their consent is a criminal offense, which is why I think all, if you ever check, आप कोई ऐप डाउनलोड करो कुछ भी करो, they specifically say ना कि are you okay with us are you okay with us tracking your movement, right? So you have to understand कि it might lead to other criminal challenges also for the entity. ठीक है? With me, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Chalo. Second part of the question is on segment reporting. ये देखो अभी. Dario, I want someone to read this. Mr. Shah, can you read this?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Dario company has four divisions A, B, C, and D. Division A and B produce and sell to third parties. Division A produces, generating 60% of Dario company's total revenue. Division B produces allergy testing kits and sells them to pharmacy wholesalers, generating 20% of Dario's total revenue. Division B's long-term average gross profit margin is significantly higher than Division A's. Division C and D undertake research and development. Division C does not provide any research and development services to third parties and only conduct activities for Division A and B. Division C does not generate any revenue from any internal or external source. It is purely a cost center operating from Division D's premises. Division D performs contract investigation activities for other laboratories and pharmaceutical companies. The external revenues of this division presents 20% of Dario's company's total revenues. The operating results for Division A, B, and D are regularly reviewed by the CEO. These results include separate divisional operating profit or loss statements from which operational decisions are made. The costing and budgets for Division C are also reviewed by the CEO. There are four divisional heads who are directly accountable to the CEO, and these heads regularly discuss the operating activities, including the research and development activities, financial results, forecasts, and plans for their divisions. The CEO is the chief operating decision maker.
Okay. So what have we noted so far? ठीक है. There are four divisions. So there are four divisions A, B, C, and D. A and B produce and sell to third parties. A produces, generating 60% of Dario's total revenue. B produces allergy testing kits, sells them to pharmacy wholesalers, generating 20% of total revenue. What is the question? Explain in accordance with the principles of IFRS 8 whether divisions A, B, C, and D should be treated as separate reportable segments. Your explanation should cover definition of an operating segment, aggregation of operating segment, identification of reportable segments. Division B's long-term average GP margin is significantly higher than Division A's. Division C and D undertake research and development. C does not provide any research and development. ठीक है, to third parties and only conducts activities for divisions A and B. C does not generate any revenue from any internal or external source. It is purely a cost center operating from division D's premises. Division D performs contract investigation activities for other labs and pharma companies. The external revenue of this division represents 20% of Dario's total revenue. The operating results for A, B, and D are regularly reviewed by the CEO. These results include separate divisional operating profit or loss statements from which operational decisions are made. Now we have to decide, first of all, whether A, B, C, and D should be treated as separate reportable segments. Now, the results, first of all, to get into this discussion, you should see whether the results of each of these divisions are evaluated by the chief operating decision maker. Is that happening here?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Uh, you are saying that, okay, it is happening here. Now tell me, what should be your approach while answering this question? अगर आपको reportable segments ढूंढना है, तो what should be your approach while answering this?
Sir, what सबसे पहले the first thing we can do is that we have to give some information about what are reporting segments and which all are included in reporting segments. So first we should include that. Then we should tell about the facts of the case that these all are all reporting that A, B, and D are reportable standard because C does not generate or does not generate any revenue. It is just a cost center, so it cannot be a different reportable segment because of the revenue generation part, and also it only does things for A and B, that is internal department, and does not provide any external services to does not provide any external services.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go like
ठीक है, fair enough. But only one correction. First thing that you should describe is what is an operating segment. Instead, see, operating segment first आएगा, then you will tell whether it is reportable or not. ठीक है. What is an operating segment? That engages in business activities from which it may earn revenues and incur expenses, whose operating results are regularly reviewed by CODM and make decisions about allocation of resources, for which discrete financial information is available. As you correctly pointed out, Division C does not generate any internal or external revenue. It is a cost center, so don't consider C as an operating segment. ठीक है. A, B, and D, all three divisions generate revenue. They have division heads who discuss the results of their division operations with CEO, who is the CODM, and CEO regularly reviews the result. So divisions A, B, and D can be considered as operating segments. ठीक है. Now talk about aggregation of segments. How will we do that? IFRS 8 says that two or more operating segments can be aggregated and reported as a single operating segment provided they have similar economic characteristics and are similar in following respects: products and services, production processes, class of customer, distribution method, nature of regulatory environment. C is not an operating segment, so no point in clubbing that with any other division. ठीक है. डिविजन डी जो है वो मोस्टली आर एंड डी करता है. A basically deals with retail customers. B is for pharmacy wholesale dealers. So class of customers is different. So distribution method is bound to be different. And products could be different in some cases, which means production processes are also not the same. So don't aggregate A and B. They wanted you to comment on each of these aspects, right? And last part is identification of reportable segments. There is the 10% revenue test, 10% asset test, and 10% profit test, है ना? यहाँ पे देखो, which test do you think you can apply? रेवेन्यू में तो A, B and D all three pass, more than 10% है. Excuse me, do you have any other out of the remaining three tests, sorry, remaining two tests, 10% asset test, 10% profit test, can you even evaluate on those grounds?
So assets though they have not given, but only profits they have mentioned, but what is the percentage is not given.
No,
And
sir.
profit
They
test
only
is
mentioned.
not possible. So only revenue test is possible, and ABD, all three pass the revenue test. And the point is that in the reportable segment, 75% of the total external revenue should be captured, which is happening in this case. So ideally, A, B, and D are three reportable segments, all three pass the 10% quantitative threshold for revenue, and 75% of external revenue must be included in the reportable segments, which has happened. 60-20-20 तीन segment है, पूरा 100% revenue gets captured there. So A, B and D are all separate reportable segments. अब यार ये तो एक ऐसा क्वेश्चन है ना, पेपर में अगर ये आता है तो अटैक द क्वेश्चन एंड फिनिश इट, कम टाइम में कंप्लीट होगा. अ क्वेश्चन लाइक दिस कैन वेरी इजीली बी टैकल्ड इन हाफ एन आवर, which is why I always recommend everyone start with ethics, because ethics question is, see, every in the ethics part everything that they are doing is wrong. And so far if you have observed, what are the issues? Self interest हो सकता है, self review, and what मतलब
Advocacy.
intimidation threat या advocacy threat.
Yeah.
And out of the ethical principles, integrity is in question, objectivity is in question, professional competence, professional behavior. Confidentiality बहुत rare cases में आता है. So what we are trying to say is everything that they are doing is wrong. Because everything that they are doing is wrong, then why, so वो question answer करना आपके लिए has to be the easiest. So start the paper with ethics, and then maybe then you go to section B and then come to section A. Sorry, section A question 1, not because it is tough. और tough है इसलिए नहीं, but because it can be time consuming. And if they want to see, if they want to break your confidence, they will always put that in question 1, because they want you to get stuck in it and spend 90 minutes on question 1 and then panic and not complete the paper. If you don't want that, my ideal recommendation is start with question 2, because वो easy होता है. Then look at section B. Section B में sustainability आ गया, climate change ये सब आ गया, तो again that is easy. Finish it off and then move to consolidation. That would be the ideal approach. ठीक है? Keep that in mind.